Sorry about that.
Yeah, give me a second to get my paraphernalia out here.
Well, I would have done it if you just told me. I don't have a problem. Take us live, sir. If we're not. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order this public meeting of the Board of Johnson County Commissioners on this Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 10 o'clock a.m. If you would care to, please pray with us, and then we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you bow with me for a moment of prayer, please? Dear Heavenly Father, as we again celebrate the birth of your Son, Jesus, this time of year, Lord, we're just so thankful that Jesus extends his nail-pierced hands to guide us through life, to help us through our times of trouble and sorrow and times to share our joy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Opening sealed quotes for the Independence Park Pickleball Court Canopies and Award Contract.
Okay, our first bid is from All Star Paving. And this bid is for $67,882.00. 6788200. Second bid is from Cool Planet. And this bid is for 71,000 even, 71000. This third bid is from Play Pros. This bid is for $60,290.00, 60290.00. And that's it.
Who's overseeing this is Wes?
I would move that, we give these bids to Wes and I, and we'll review them and get back to you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm just questioning why is the end award contract in red? Are we supposed to award that this morning? Wes?
Number 3.
Number 2?
Yeah, these are coming from ARPA funds, so we need to review and award it pending legal, but you don't have to read the actual company yet.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we have to
yeah.
secure these funds. Wes, do you have any, would you want to come forward? Do you have any recommendations or just with whoever's lowest bid?
I'd like to review them, and I'll give it to Tiffany after lunch, get that taken care of, so we get them under.
Okay.
If we've got to call a special meeting, we can call it quick.
Or we can just award
You can award it to the
pending.
lowest and pending legal.
pending legal. Want to do that?
Just award it to the lowest and responsive.
You want to move for that, sir? Move to award pending legal to the lowest bidder.
I move that we make the award pending legal.
Second.
Have a motion and a second
Lowest and most
to make the
responsive.
lowest and most responsive
Yes.
pending legal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Does that work for you, Wes?
Yes.
Award of Johnson County opioid remediation grants.
That's me. We just came out of an hour-long meeting, and the committee made some recommendations, and he took my cheat sheet with me. Okay, no, he didn't. We had 4 applicants, and we brought them in today in person, listened to them present. We've got Bloom, which is an infant care, for $55,000. We've got Upstream, Rise, and we have the Upstream Cafe as far as recovery programs for opioids. And the last one is Riley applied, and they did an online presentation this morning with Adam Kegley of the foundation and Dr. Clemens. So with that, I'm going to say Bloom was $55,000, Upstream was $50,000, Upstream Cafe was $50,000, and Riley's, we upped it to, they asked for 20 and we upped it to 50. So that's my recommendation, and we have the ultimate final decision on this, but the committee has vetted these companies, and I think they've done a phenomenal job of vetting them, and they did a in-person presentation this morning, which took till about 9:58. It was in-depth. It was very, very good presentation. So as I'm representing that committee, I would recommend this for approval. So any input?
I'm not familiar with the first organization.
Bloom. They're an in-house, how would you, I mean,
It's a direct care, so it's not, it's actual physicians that are going out to the care of infants after they've been, after they've been out of the hospital for continued care, for like well baby visits and continued care through there. So it's a pilot program they're trying to start in Johnson County.
yeah, this is, they're based out of Madison, Jefferson, and Switzerland County, but they're wanting to expand up. One of the pediatricians is in Indianapolis, and they're wanting to put Johnson County on that map to do the in-house post follow-ups with all these infants and mothers from.
Yeah, and of course, that was my
They were very
first
in-depth.
and primary concern was I wanted to see as much of that go to prenatal care for
We upped it.
infants and
We upped
mothers that have
Riley.
been subjected to addiction.
Yeah, we upped Riley. They did a great presentation this morning on very short notice. We upped them, and Bloom is both those are predominantly for pediatrics,
Yeah.
so.
You really ran the gamut on as far as what you had brought up, the infant care, prenatal care, and then up through adult care for peer recovery coaches for Upstream, so.
Well, I will move to approve. Unless there's
Already made
any
a
other
motion.
discussion.
Second. You made a
Oh,
motion.
did you?
Yeah.
I'll second it then.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. This is very much needed, and I'm glad to see it's going back out where it needs to go back out.
And I said it earlier, but I send the grant agreements out since it is a reimbursement grant. You will all see where the money tracks and how it applies to Johnson County citizens, and everything that's going on with each organization, so.
And this has been solely focused on Johnson County. So,
Good deal. Thank you all. Elected officials, department heads, assessor, approval of contract employing attorney Dustin Huddleston.
Morning, Mike Watkins, County Assessor, here to answer any questions you've got regarding what's before us today.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. And just, real quick, I got just received a message that Joe DeHart has cancer, supposedly in his pancreas and liver. word is that he'll be coming home on hospice. It's bad. So prayers, please, for, I don't know how many people know Joe, but I think most people know Joe was not only a big farmer in the area, but a commissioner for several years. So just got that, sorry. Wanted to put that out. Please have some prayer for him. Gosh. Vasia, approval to apply for the Shining Bright Together grant application.
Hi, Lauren Reinierson, Vasia Director. We received a grant from Blue River Community Foundation.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Court Services, approval to apply for the JDAI 25-26 grant application. I don't think we need anybody for that. do we?
That's usually, I mean, it's an annual grant application. Expect that would be Sheena, but she might be in court. So I'm going to move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Public Safety Communications, approval to attend the Denise Amber Lee Foundation's Be the Difference Conference, February 9th through the 12th, 2025 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Keith Brandt, 911 Director. So you'll see there's two of us on this. One, anybody that wanted to go this year, I made them apply for a scholarship, and actually one of our guys was awarded a full scholarship to cover conference and all travel expenses. So pretty good deal.
My only concern is I know that you're kind of behind the eight ball on hiring out there, and overtime's running at a premium. I always question when people are out of service for 5 days, how that affects the overall operation.
Right now, we've only got one opening to fill. We have some people in training right now that by the time this conference rolls around should be released from training. So right now, our staffing is not as bad as it has been by any means.
I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heath.
Thanks, Heath.
Health Department approval of interlocal cooperation agreement with the Health and Hospital Corporation of Marion County for mosquito control services. Shame we're having to think about mosquitoes already. And
Betsy Swearingen, Director of the Health Department. We have to because it will probably take until mosquito season for Marion County to sign this, so
Well,
we
that's
got to
true,
get the
too.
ball rolling.
Because last time-
It takes forever, so we're starting it quickly.
I appreciate that.
One year, I think we didn't have it signed till December, and you guys passed it in January, and then they still didn't have it signed until December later.
wow. Yeah.
I had a question on this, Betsy. We used to do this for $10,000, just a flat rate, but now they're doing it based on mileage and different formula. Have you done any calculations to determine about what that might run?
No, I have not done that. We didn't have very many runs this past summer. I don't know if it was because of the water or the rain or anything like
Yeah.
that, but no, it usually stays under that 10,000. We've never exceeded that amount. And this is the way Marion County wanted to do it, and so I guess that's why we agreed to do it this way.
I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Highway, number 1 has been scratched per Luke. So we have 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Good morning, Daniel Johnson, Highway Engineer. The first item We're requesting your approval and execution with an agreement with Cidian Incorporated. I think on my memo previously to you, had said that all of our agenda items were pending legal. Tiffany's been able to review them, so that's no longer the case. But with Cidian, and there was some information in the memo, this will give us, Highway, the opportunity to analyze, or more effectively, analyze crash histories, crash trends. The software that they use, the software that they have uses machine learning and AI. It'll actually read through the crash narratives, look for keywords that allows us to then filter by accident type, location, a lot of different characteristics of the accidents that'll better help us look for trends and deal with those. So if you had any questions about it, I'll try to answer if there's.
Is this a full 5 year, or is it a 1 year, or it's a full 5? You got to do 5.
Yeah, so it's $100 and some odd $1,000 contract.
And that rate was actually, I need to give credit to Luke. We had a number of virtual meetings with Cidian. This is actually a reduced amount from what their initial fee proposal was for their services. They have a tiered system, and we are looking at this as we're going in with the lowest tier, plus one of their additional services to have that automatic refinement of the crash data. We think that's a good way to test this out, to really see the benefit of this service.
Well, for sure, you guys know the utilization and how it's going to help you better than I do. I'm just always skeptical on these. They're basically doing their work on your input, right?
We will provide the data, but it'll be much more efficient.
Yeah.
The alternative to do this in-house would be dealing with very large and very clunky spreadsheets, sorting rows, sorting columns. We would have to read through the crash narratives to really understand the crash, the background of each accident. So the benefit here is their software will be able to do all of that automatically.
There is a right to terminate, but I don't know how that works necessarily if it's a 5-year deal. I guess they'd have to be negligent somehow or not responsive, but I'll go ahead and move to approve, but it'll be interesting to check with you after a year and see what you're getting from that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Our second item is requesting your approval and execution of a NDOT Railroad Grade Crossing Fund agreement specifically for state fiscal year 25. This will be improving pavement markings at 21 at-grade locations within the county.
I'm going to move to approve this, but that railroad crossing on it's Tracy Road, and then it turns into Smoky Road. I'll get it here in a minute. That thing is horrible. Do you have any input there or any sway with the railroad to get that thing worked on?
We're certainly able to recommend and request some improvements there again to them at that location.
Yeah. Traffic's down to almost a stop to proceed over that thing. It's so rough.
I'll second that. Was that a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Our next item is requesting your approval and execution of a number of contract supplements, all related to the Smith Valley Road corridor project. These are really the result of, now that the design has progressed, we've seen that we've refined what the footprint of the project is going to look like, the potential impacts. One of the supplements is going to be related to added environmental investigation that really is standard part of the process, but was not initially anticipated until the further refinement of the design. Two of the supplements are going to be associated to right-of-way engineering and right-of-way acquisition services. And then the last one, I think if you have the memo in front of you there, item 3B, that was associated with, we identified the benefit of adding an additional roundabout that was not in the original project scope. This will provide a roundabout roughly every half mile of the corridor.
That was probably decided to get me off your back on access, right?
No comment.
No comment. I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, Luke?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I didn't hear you. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. And then our last one is just requesting your approval of the bid date of your meeting on Monday, January 27th, as the bid opening date for the County Road 144 and Morgantown Roundabout project. And also your execution signature on the project's title sheet, which I think is up there with you.
Yeah. Move to approve for the 144 in Morgantown roundabout.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further?
We have already purchased that ground. We purchased that a long time ago with Bargersville purchased two southern corners and we purchased the northeast corner. So we've got all the right of way acquired for that. So it's a good thing.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Board of Commissioners, 2025 Convention Visitor and Tourism Board appointments, and I know this has been up for kind of grabs, but
I'd like to recommend Jennifer Eccles and James Kopp for the 2 4-year terms. Or 2 2-year terms, I'm sorry. 2 times 2 is 4, that's how I got 4.
I had somebody else in mind for one of them.
I think both of them would be a real asset on there, especially Jennifer with her kind of insight into realty and things of that nature, and Jim, of course, with his proven track record that when he ran for council.
For the 2 4-year terms, that would be who that is. I had somebody else in mind for one of them, but I guess if Jennifer Eccles is fine, I would go with Kopp and Eccles for the 2 4-year terms. And I've got somebody in mind for the 1-year term.
It's 2-year terms.
2 2-year terms.
Yeah, two-year terms.
Oh,
So
2
they would
years.
expire 12/31/26.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And then one will,
Eccles and
Kopp.
Kopp.
Then I'll make a recommendation for the 1-year.
Want to do a motion and want to do that, just go ahead and do
Do
the
the two.
Do it
Yeah.
on one?
yeah,
Do the 2 years first, or?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
So I have a motion and a second then. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
For the 1-year term, I'd like to recommend Mr. Joe Hubbard.
And I will second that. And that's for the 1-year term, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Well, that was the last one of those.
We're done. We are done.
Yeah,
We're done with appointments. That's probably
That
a
was the
record.
quickest
Yeah,
ever.
that's a record.
Well, and it's important to get these positions filled prior to the end of the year, especially with the way some of the terms are written. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Award and approval of contract for the Johnson County Sheriff Training Center furniture project. And since that would be Commercial Office Environments, Inc., and let's go ahead and award and approve contract for the Johnson County Sheriff Training Center Culvert Crossing Project to Subsurface of Indiana, Inc., since those have all been bid.
Both are tied together. So I would make approval for Commercial Office Environment for the furniture and Subsurface of Indiana for the culvert crossing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance 2024-0-9, ordinance amending Title 9 of the Johnson County Code of Ordinances, second reading, and this would be our golf cart ordinance.
I think there might be public here to comment if you want to take that.
And before we motion, yes, if there is any public comment, and if you want to come forward, state your name and address and speak for a few minutes on it, that would be great.
Colin, do we have anybody online?
That's the email I sent out. Are you talking about the golf cart now?
Yes.
I'm Dick Huber. I live in White River Township in Carefree South. We have about 5 golf carts that are rather active during the warm seasons. And there's a difference in golf cart usage in retirement communities and in our regular communities. Because probably at least 80% of the time I see a golf cart in our community, there are no adults on that golf cart at all. And probably at least 50% of the time that I see those golf carts being used, I don't see anybody on that golf cart that even looks 16 years of age. So I really appreciate the fact that you're addressing this golf cart issue. I'm looking at item number 3 that I sent to the commissioners about a 16-year-old who have a valid vehicle driver's license operating a golf cart with 3 or 4 other teenagers on there are going to do things that are potentially very dangerous. And I was hoping you might consider that anybody that's 17 or 18 years old operating a golf cart might have to have an older person with them. I'm doubting that you would even consider that, but I'm a retired physician and my lenses and my glasses are somewhat tinted. When I look at situations, I look at, is this situation healthy and is it safe? And I know I can't do anything about it, but I sleep better at night knowing if I see something that's not safe, that I say something about it. And I also think that you have a further responsibility, that I say something, but you can act and do something about it, okay? And I hope that you might consider that, okay? It really bothers me on item number 5 about the rear-facing 5 and 6, the little young people sitting on the rear of the golf carts facing backwards. If they're ever rear-ended, those little children are going to be disabled for life. And I know you cannot regulate and legislate common sense for parents and grandparents, but when those little ones are riding on the back of that golf cart facing backwards on public property, I think the commissioners have a responsibility for those little ones when they're on public property. Item number 6, I've reported golf cart usage in our community over the past 2 summers. But my concern is when I call the non-emergency dispatch center and report a golf cart, they want to know where it is, and I give them the street. But I know I don't expect them to come every time because they have other things to do. But when they do come, they're not likely to even find that golf cart because it's someplace else or it's back home. So I'm not sure how reporting a golf cart in our community, how that process is going to work. Who do I report to? What do I report? So I would like that addressed sometime. And then if we're really going to make this thing effective, this is going to be new to some communities. And I would like to see communities have available from the county government a small fact sheet so that they could include that information about the golf carts in their publications in their neighborhood. I appreciate you addressing this issue and not ignoring it. Any comments or questions?
Well, Dr. Huber, you and I have a long relationship, obviously, and have communicated.
Is that good or bad?
I've communicated on a number of issues over the year, and when you emailed this, I did respond to you with, I was hopeful answers to each of your questions or concerns, in as much as I couldn't speak for the other 2 gentlemen, of course, but from my perspective, the thing that we're doing here with this ordinance is, in fact, trying to legitimize the use of the golf carts and to ensure that there's financial responsibility and incorporate a variety of safety features that address some of your concerns too. I'll just start with your concern on the age limit, and as I said in my email response to you, a valid driver's license, as far as I'm concerned, satisfies the need here. I'd much rather see a 16-and-a-half-year-old driving a golf cart at 25 mile an hour or less in a neighborhood than a 460 horsepower vehicle on a 2-lane road running 70 mile an hour. So I think from that standpoint, the valid license does cover that. On the facing backwards risk, there's always risk inherent with whatever we do, but the fact that we're requiring seat belts and hopefully some semblance of adult supervision and the usage of these vehicles, I'm not so sure that it's a valid concern, of course. It's a potential, but I don't think it's a highly plausible concern at this time. Again, and everybody up here has heard me say 1,000,000 times, and I hate to exaggerate, but we can never be 100% safe in whatever we do. On the violations, of course, the violation would be reported to the sheriff's department, and it would be up to them to respond. But just like you said, by the time you have notice and then you forward that notice on, the situation's resolved. But with this ordinance, at least we put into effect certain measures by which the sheriff's department does have a semblance of control. One, the registration process, the decaling of the vehicles, those things are going to at least make the sheriff's department aware of where these vehicles originate from. And I think that might go a long way in helping you in a reporting situation where you can describe the vehicle, and the sheriff's department would then be able to associate that to ownership.
Would it be appropriate to provide the address of the owner?
Huh?
Would it be appropriate to provide the address of the owner of that golf cart?
Well, it would be up to you to report whatever information you wanted to make available to the sheriff's department to aid them in their investigation or whatever follow-up, yeah. As far as the notices, as I responded, all of our ordinances are online and available to anybody that wants to seek them. So we do publish that. As I mentioned, all of our meetings are open to the public and available also. So I think that part's covered, and I wasn't real sure of exactly what you were saying there in relation to making the neighborhoods aware. I think we've done that with the public information that we've provided.
How many pages is the ordinance now?
How many pages? 7?
To me, it's not likely that a neighborhood association is going to send out 7 pages in one of their publications. And I was hoping that the county might come up with a small fact sheet of maybe of a half of a page of just the basic rules for the golf cart and have that online so that neighborhood associations could download that and include that half page or so in their publications, because this is something going to be new to neighborhoods.
Sure. Well, if the neighborhood, even if we did a condensed version of it and they were going to access it online, they could also access the entire document, which is
But
really
you're asking,
not very lengthy in reading. It's pretty easy to read, but
but
it
you're
is
asking
available.
each neighborhood to condense it themselves?
They could do whatever they wanted if they wanted
It will be
to.
published online. It has to be published in the paper twice after this. This is that we will do anyway.
Yeah.
And then it will be available online. It's on our website, the full
Yeah.
version. I would not want to put a condensed version. I want them to see the entire, I think it's important to have the entire document so everyone can see.
Did I
the
understand you
ordinance.
say there's going to be a condensed version of it?
No,
there's-
we won't put.
we're not gonna
It needs to be
condense
the
it
whole
bec-
version.
Because if you try to condense it, you're leaving out vital parts. So there's no way you could incorporate everything.
I know,
without
but the
incorporating-
condensed form could include the basics with reference to where to find the complete document.
It'll be right there online.
Yeah. There's not going to be, we're not going to condense it. It's going to be the full document, but it is available. It's an easy read. So hopefully we've addressed all your concerns. And basically what we're dealing with here is situations somewhat that you've described where people under the age of 16 and a half years are operating these vehicles and not necessarily in a safe fashion. They don't have the safety requirements. So now we've codified that and made it an ordinance so it does have some backbone to it.
Thanks for addressing the issue, though, okay? And again, I can sleep better knowing that if I see something that's not safe, I
Yeah.
have said something, and I'll sleep better at night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Huber.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
So in discussion on that, unless there's any more public comments,
Anything from anyone putting their hand up online? Okay.
I hate to beat this horse to death, but it seems like we can never get it totally resolved, but we're close.
We're
So
sounds like
I-
a vote away.
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot. I've learned an awful lot about CART. That's an all-encompassing word there, use. And one of the things I noticed in some of the materials I was reading is that on the UTVs or the off-road vehicles, one of my concerns was that we're basically allowing these vehicles to run over the entire county. And I struggled with that in the beginning and voiced my concerns in as much as they're going to be running at 40 mile an hour or faster on the county roads. Both commissioners here have expressed concern on the situations they've encountered on their roads out there with these vehicles. So one of the things I read was that a lot of the ordinances, they restrict these vehicles to a radius around the primary ownership's home. In other words, you can't take it more than a mile away or 2 miles away or whatever you determine the restriction might be. And I thought, that might be an appropriate concern here, because I think part of what we were trying to do is give these individuals, primarily agricultural use, the ability to go from one field to another field to various areas that they're working in and trying to service. And so I got to think, well, how far do they normally go in that respect? I've got no facts or figures, but I would assume it would be a reasonable proximity to their residence. So anyways, just a thought, I don't know, I'm just opening that for.
I know some farmers that live on the east side of the county that also farm over in my district in Union Township. So they move around quite a bit. I mean, they've got to stay off the state roads. They can cross the state roads, but they can't go on the
Yeah.
state roads.
And I would think that if they're traversing that far, they would probably do it in a truck or something of that nature.
I think it'd be almost an impossibility to track,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
Just a thought.
I think we need to understand in the agricultural use of this equipment, the UTVs or the RTVs, I'm not talking about ATVs, let's not
Right,
confuse the
yeah.
two. UTVs and RTVs have steering wheel, seat belts, lights, functioning, turn signals, brake lights.
Roll bars.
Which protect them from accidents and things like that. But we have to understand these agricultural RTVs like I have, I go from farmland to farmland on mine, which is in a very short distance. But some people, I know a gentleman that's been wanting to get this passed and has 2 properties on the east and also properties on the west, and I get that. These pieces of equipment are good to use for spraying fields, fence lines, doing stuff like that. These are no different than a tractor that farmers are putting on the road, and they can go anywhere they need to go on those tractors. And I think we need to be sure we understand that agricultural use of these vehicles is totally different than recreational use of these vehicles. And if there's a way we could pin that difference, I have no issue with limiting those recreational vehicles, but I do have an issue with the agricultural use of these, because I know it's very, very easy to put an RTV on the road compared to a big tractor. And I know, I mean, I do it, I get it. You know, there's things that I can use my RTV for on my farm ground that I can't use, that I can use a tractor for, but it's burdensome, I guess is what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to carve that out, and I've said from day one.
It was just something I read, and I just wanted to express it to get some other thoughts on it.
And if there's a
So
way
I
to
think
carve
it's
that
not a
out, I have no issue with it.
I've been a firm believer, we get this passed, it's an ordinance that we pass. If we get feedback from sheriff's department that we've got issues, we'll address those issues.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you don't know the issues until they present themselves, and I think the sheriff will present those back to us, and we'll give it a year run, and we'll see if there's no problems, we've done a good job. If there are problems, we'll adjust and overcome.
Yeah,
So, that's the way I would look at it.
yeah.
You've got to start someplace, and you can't fix all the problems up front.
Well, I'll go ahead and move to approve on the second reading.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, and under further discussion, I'm going to vote against this ordinance, and I want the public to understand why I'm voting against it. Number one, I have an RTV that I use for agricultural use from field to field. And to me, it's no different than the farmers that are using their tractors, their trailers, their trucks, their combines, anything else, and they're not paying a registration fee to put those on the road. This ordinance requires me to put pay a registration fee for putting my RTV on the road that all other vehicles in the agricultural world are not paying fees for. And I think that, if we want to talk about unfair, there's unfair, is to charge someone that's using that for agricultural use a fee for something that they're not charged for anything else. So, and that's just my opinion, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not paying the fee using my vehicle to go from farmland to farmland. And if we want to fight about that at the county level, I'd be more than happy to fight about that. So, but anyway, just,
Well,
so we're aware. I want
and
everybody to be aware.
And I understand that, but there's no way you can separate the two, the agricultural from the recreational, and so it's kind of like it's all encompassing. If there was a way to segregate the two, I'd be more inclined to consider your thoughts.
I am permitted right now to drive my vehicle from farmland to farmland under the state laws on these roads
Are you
because it's
registered
an
with the state?
I have not registered it as through the BMV. I don't have to. It's a piece of agricultural equipment. That's what you have to understand. They've carved that out for a reason.
Well, I think in that case, then,
If you don't, it is.
Just don't pull me over, Sheriff. That's all I'm asking.
On the BMV website, it does say that farm vehicles being used for farming, included but not limited to a farm wagon, are not considered off-road vehicles. So that shouldn't technically be part of our ordinance as well. It's not considered off-road under state law. So if you, by that reading, I would not consider that to be something that would have to be registered through the county as well, because if it's used for farming purposes, that looks to be that it's exempt. Because you don't have to register at the BMV, and it would not be considered an off-road vehicle under Indiana state law, which is what the definition of off-road vehicle that we have specifically in our ordinance.
And that's going to create a little bit of an issue, but again, and I understand what you're saying, Ron and Kevin both, I understand what you're saying. I don't drive mine into somewhere to get gas put in it. I put fuel in my RTV from a 5-gallon can. And I know there's going to be some abuse of that under that farm vehicle attempt, but it's hard to pan those out, I guess. But, I mean, if someone's caught driving from, let's say, Nineveh Road to Trafalgar to put fuel in that vehicle, there's probably something wrong with what they're doing, if it's not registered. So I know it's tough, but I think we just have to be open to understand that the sheriff's going to encounter some of these things.
but given your example of defining this off-road vehicle as an agricultural piece of equipment, how would you carry that forward? And a guy with a pickup truck would never license it because it's a piece of farm equipment. And wouldn't that be a similar comparison? And I don't think that's going to fly.
Yeah, they have, you don't have to register a title on an RTV or a piece of equipment such as that, or a tractor as far as that goes.
Well,
On a truck, you do. On a car.
off-road vehicles are supposed to be registered with the state.
Only for title purposes. They don't have to be.
It's not the way I read it, but
Am I correct or am I wrong?
This is just from the BMV. I mean, obviously, each owner should check with the BMV on the specifics, but a farm vehicle is not considered an off-road vehicle and does not have to be registered. Same way with a golf cart
I
vehicle.
understand that.
Yeah.
But my contention there is, if I have a F-350 crew cab dually and I'm just using it for farming, do I have to license it?
That would be a question for the BMV. I would assume that you
Well,
would, but that,
You could almost bet your paycheck that I have to.
but this is only for off-road vehicles, and that's not the definition. That would be a truck. That
I
would be
think they're
something
trying to
separate.
clarify what's an off-road vehicle.
Yeah, this is
and
just
what's
for
a farm
off-road vehicle. Yeah,
So-
so this is the definition on the BMV on who needs to register for off-road vehicles.
But in Brian's case, he's considering the off-road vehicle, to me, it's not a piece of farm equipment, it's a mode of transportation. That's the distinction here. If you're driving a tractor or a combine or something of that nature, that's a defined agricultural use. These off-road vehicles are just a mode of transportation. Now, you can say, I'm using it for this, I'm using it for that. You can put any connotation on that you'd like. But the fact is, it's just a mode of transportation, and I think in our case, in the state's case, it is considered an off-road vehicle and requires registration.
I disagree.
Well, we can require our registration. Is that what you mean? Like, I can't speak to what the state would require, but we can.
Yeah, and that's the reason I'm holding to the ordinance for registration. One, it gives the sheriff, again, awareness of where the vehicle originates and some, I don't want to say oversight, but at least some knowledge, I'll put it that way. Good argument, sir.
Any further discussion?
Oh, we could have a lot more, and we have had a lot more prior to this.
Well, we have a,
We're only chuckling because you can't believe the inordinate amount of time we've spent trying to come up with a simple
Yeah,
ordinance
so I said,
for golf carts.
the big
It's been
things.
going for 2 years.
Yeah, the big things are easy. It's the little things that
Yeah.
drive you nuts, and this is one of those little things that drive you nuts. But that, you know what? That's why we do this job, is because we have the ability to be able to help people and to get things done in Johnson County. And let's face it, we're all three pretty good at it. And we all have our differing opinions, and we all have our ways of negotiating, discussing things here in these public meetings. Well, what's great about this is we can agree up here to disagree, or we can agree to agree, but when we make the vote and this is done, all three of us move on. We go on to something else. There's no grudges, there's nothing else. That's why I love working with these two individuals, is just because that's just the way we do things. And it's great. They're both good friends. They're welcome at my house anytime, and I'd do anything for them in the world, but we're just going to disagree on some things. But that's okay. We love each other and we move forward. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to say what I said before. You know, this is very simple. We'll run this thing for a year. We'll see what needs to be adjusted. We'll make adjustments and we'll move forward. It's that simple. If sheriff finds a lot of abuse, you know, we'll take something away that people wanted, have asked for, and if it becomes too cumbersome, we eliminate it. But we are given the option for the people to make this choice and smart decisions and be able to utilize this. If they don't, we'll take it away. So, but we are giving them the opportunity to move forward. So,
You know, and if I just decide to drive mine to Trafalgar to get breakfast or go to Dairy Queen, I'll
Sheriff has a prerogative.
pay your registration. How's that?
sheriff has a
If
prerogative.
I'm going
to
from
write you a ticket.
the 150 feet from my property to my other property,
And he'll have a body cam that will play
I'm not gonna do
for the
that.
public. So,
just so you know.
let's vote on this thing. Let's get it done.
We have a motion and a second. And that was under further discussion.
Oh,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Gosh, that was fun. We're going to have even more fun at the state this year, too.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be up there a lot. I'm looking forward to that. Approval of owner-provider professional services agreement for Johnson County Public Transportation Service with Gateway Services, Inc.
move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of agreement for consulting services with Michael A. Reuter Consulting Services.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further?
I would like to say he does a phenomenal job for both the council and commissioners.
Does a very good job.
Very, very good at what he does.
Has for a long time. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of independent contractor agreement with Daniel Cartwright.
Move to approve.
Second. Sorry, I'm sidebarring.
That's okay. So could we?
On the next
You
one.
want a sidebar one?
On the next one.
Gotcha. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome aboard, Dan. Looking forward to getting that moving and forward on, what do we want to call that? Consideration of Department of Public Works,
Yes.
correct? A lot of people probably don't know that we're working toward that, but we're looking at, would there be an advantage or disadvantage to having a Department of Public Works to help with all the stuff we've got going on and help our highway department maybe move forward in some areas that will help us streamline what we're doing. So looking forward to that, and thank you, Dan.
He
Appreciate
can
it.
bring his ATV or.
Yeah, you can ride your ATV, drive your ATV here. There you go. Come on down, just get it registered. Appointment of Tiffany Costley as proxy for the Region 5 Workforce Development Board.
Thank you.
You can dump that at a later time if you would like. I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. I'm not going to, no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of Assistant County Attorney. As everyone knows, we lost Adam to another state. Actually, we train them and they go.
Other side of the
they go-
nation.
They go elsewhere to make more money or something. I don't know what's going on there, but I know Adam's probably listening. Sorry, Adam. Love you, buddy.
He's
But-
probably not out of bed yet. It's a little early there.
But anyway, as you all know, Tiffany has become our county attorney, senior county attorney, and we have interviewed and basically taken a recommendation for Taylor Webster to be our new assistant county attorney, which will be starting January 2nd.
January 2nd, yep.
January 2nd.
Move to approve.
And we're very busy, so I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
I just want to compliment Adam on taking our conservative values to the west coast of this country.
Oh, Northwest. Is Adam on there? I gotta ask. Okay, thank goodness.
On playback.
Thank goodness.
He'll watch it on the record, yeah.
Well, now, number 10, approval of contract for legal services with Adam P. Gadberry for a short term, in case Tiffany or us need anything that we will make Adam available. He's been a wealth of knowledge for us.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further?
Just making a note that he will be aligned with what we pay outside counsel for boards and everything else, so that dollar amount is the same.
Actually, he's lower,
Yeah, he is a little bit.
as well as our trial lawyer, so, litigation
Yes.
lawyer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Ratification of agreement with CR Stafford regarding the feasibility study regarding North Annex Courtroom Project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Employee handbook changes.
You want
These were just, one was a basic change. As you know, the county coordinator position was a title change to county administrator in the November meeting of council. So we went back through the handbook to change where there was reference to county coordinator to county administrator. And the only other change was edits to the short-term disability plan or salary continuation plan that would match and mirror the new plan parameters that were approved, I believe, at the November meeting. So just slight adjustments that will be effective January 1.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion
We
carries.
still do our commitment to reviewing the handbook once a year instead of letting it get away from us. So, not the most enjoyable meeting you ever sat through, but
But it gets it done,
get it done.
and that's what counts. New and old business, claims and credit card.
I went through the claims and the credit cards. Other than the prosecutor's slow-moving vehicle, I don't have any additions or corrections. I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Commissioners' minutes, executive session 12/10/2024 and 11/19/2024 for approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Anything else from here? Anything from public comment, 5 minutes or less?
Got a public.
We got a public.
Good morning. I'll be really quick. My name is Jennifer Eccles, and I just wanted to thank you for your appointment to the CV board, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the past several years, we've had trouble getting people to apply for appointments, and here, not just in the last year, it seems like that's improved a little bit, so I don't know what's going on, but I do appreciate the people coming forward and giving their time, and I know it's hard with this day and age and as busy as everyone is to do that, but it's good for us to get involved with public service and giving back to our community. So thank you very much for putting your name in on that, and I'm glad you're excited about moving forward. Anyone else?
Got something?
If you would, please state your names and address.
Roderick and Randy Bowman. I prepared stuff for possible council for a convention.
Can you pull that microphone to you,
Yes.
please, sir?
Can
Thank
you hear
you.
me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been working with James Story, which is not here, for a proposal for a convention. And I've also run the Johnson County train show. But anyways, the overall view is to be able to get a convention center up and running here in Johnson County. And Randy and I have been trying to get everything together for y'all to,
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. You need to,
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry, my voice is
Can
not.
you get him up?
Yeah.
Is not the best. So anyways, I run the Johnson County Train Show that's normally over at the Johnson County Fairgrounds. And we've literally outgrown what we've been able to do for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And we're looking for basically a new place to be able to go to. And over the time, we've been trying to figure out a way to grow the show and look for places that, we can bring in more revenue for the county, and places that can bring other shows to the area.
Just to let you know, at the fairgrounds, we're limited to 53,000 square feet of space. We've outgrown that. Our show is getting close to 70,000 square feet. And that's the reason this is all coming up.
Yeah.
So, the last sheet will show you how our attendance has grown over the last 7 years since I took it over. The building that we have identified is a 65,000 square foot facility. And I know this is a lot of information to be thrown to y'all. So this is something to start working towards over in Trafalgar to get started with.
We know long-term, a large facility along 65 is going to be a long-term project, and it's going to be very expensive. So we identified a facility currently in Johnson County that's not being used, that could turn into not just a convention center, but an event center for all kinds of activities to draw people to Johnson County.
So I guess I'm just trying to understand your ask here. I mean, do you want, or, I guess that's what I'm kind of confused with. What's
Yeah,
the
we're just
ask?
trying to give you knowledge of where we're going.
Yes.
We're not at the point where we're asking for funds. We'll get there, we're just not there yet.
And we want to be able to work with
Tiffany,
the convention tourism people.
So is this an annual event, just one event annually?
But my show is an annual event that comes every, in August, but there are other events that would be able to go into that building, and we would be able to work with Festival Country to be able to get other shows that go into that facility long-term. So
there's shows in Marion County that we could draw down if we have a large enough facility.
Yes.
That's the old school.
That's what they're recommending.
That's the old school.
So virtually,
You're
we're
recommending
just trying
the
to
old
get-
school in Trafalgar, is that right?
Yes, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Modifying that for a convention and event center.
Is this the school?
The old school, which I think was sold originally by the trustee to an organization.
Yes.
And that organization sold it to someone else, and then it became a restaurant and something, and
Yeah, and that restaurant's not
It's
there. The
been gone.
building's in good shape.
it's been gone for a while. There's some issues with it, but it's in decent shape. But all that permitting and all that would have to go through the town of Trafalgar. So
Right.
really, that wouldn't be anything that would have to do with us
Right.
at that point in time. As far as any funds from the Visitors Tourism Bureau would be through them. So I guess really, hopefully you're just here to give us information. It doesn't sound like we need to be engaged in much on this at this point.
Yeah, no, I think Ms. Eccles is your first. There you go.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be coming your way.
This is why we're here, just to get the information out so
Okay.
people know where we're headed.
Yeah.
Just to give you a little knowledge, I used to do concerts throughout the Midwest in 3 states, so I'm used to doing big events.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I've done not just this show that I gave you the information on, I'm also involved with the Midwest region of the NMRA, and I've been involved with their conventions, and I'm on 2 other convention boards for the Midwest region, so I stay very involved.
You do realize there's a parking issue in this piece of property, correct? A very
Yes,
severe
we
parking
do,
issue?
and we would also work with the local school district for off-site parking too. So those concerns had already, as soon as we saw was told about the building, the first thing I looked was where is parking and things like that.
Yeah. That's been an issue with that building for a long
Yeah.
time.
I'm a degreed industrial engineer, I'm used to planning parking lots, so
Okay,
yeah,
so
definitely not that far.
And I only know that because that's my hometown is Trafalgar, so I know a lot about that area from history. So anyway, thank you very much for coming in and letting us know, and appreciate the information, and hopefully good luck, and we'll see how things work out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All hearts and minds free and clear?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
Have a-
Merry Christmas,
Yeah,
everybody.
Merry Christmas. Have a motion and a second. We're
And a Happy
adjourned.
New Year.